Alright guys, back here again. We just did that snake, which if you watch my other video, you'll see what I'm talking about. We're going to do this deer skull. We're going to European mount it. Deer skull that I shot last weekend. It's been on ice ever since. We're going to go ahead and clean the skull up so we can boil it out. The wind just started blowing. These are kind of the tools that we're going to use. Fillet knives, some good buck knives, my little Gerber fillet knife. I really love it. It really does good work when you're working in some tight spots. I think I need to change the blades though. It's getting about that time. But essentially the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to skin the front of this jaw right here. And I do like to use these fillet knives. A lot of folks I haven't seen using them. But I mean, they get under there, they cut the skin. I really like using them around the antlers to help get that hair all the way up and underneath, from underneath there. But this here, pretty much go down my jawline. You want to make sure you got a sharp one. I'm just using just a regular Rapala. Got two short bladed Rapalas. I also have some long ones if I need to get to it. Some deer skulls work differently than others. But around the tear duct, this is one for me, so it doesn't have to be perfect. I always come up this way to the ears. We'll cut them off here in a minute, but I come to the back of the skull, or the back of the antlers, with my blade. Just kind of work all the way down and around the nose. Over the little eye socket bone. Be careful, I got into the cartilage, hopefully not the bone right there, but be careful when you're going around that eye. You'll chip the bone, especially if you're doing it for someone else. We'll get this. This is where I like to use this sharp razor blade. This one, like I said, I think this blade is dull, or going dull. But we got a whole packet of those blades, so we'll trade it out here. Yeah, I really like this blade because of how quick and easy it is to swap them out. You also got to be careful sometimes. If you ain't careful, those blades, you'll press on that and that blade will want to come out on you. Also, if you put too much pressure on the blades, these blades will snap on you. They are pretty flimsy, or pretty thin. So around the nose, and I'll generally take these fillet knife blades, because you can kind of run it straight up, right up underneath that antler, the deal with doing these European mounts, you want to get all that hair, and if you don't get it off now, it's really hard to get off later. So I like to get it off beforehand, and this blade will kind of flex around the antlers and stuff, and you can get most of that hair out of there. The other deal is you want to try to get as much meat off these bones as you can, because that helps out when you go to boil them out. The less meat, the easier it is to get it all off with a pressure washer. I've seen some people use a regular water hose. I use a pressure washer. This is a good deer. This is a good heavy horn deer for where we hunt at here in Florida. We hunt on the Gulf Coast of Florida. It was a 6-point with a little drop tine. Looks like he has, I don't even know if he actually had a brow tine there, if it broke off. This is a pretty good looking, weird looking deer. I also like working on them when they're still cold. Frozen can be a little difficult sometimes, so you want to let them thaw out a little bit. But if you dispatch a deer and you want to do this, you want to make sure you get them on ice. You keep them on ice or you freeze it. And then before you go back to doing this, pull it out of the freezer the day before and put it on in a cooler, let it de-thaw, and start working on it that next day. Normally this is all happening during winter, so it's already a little cool out anyhow. So you put it in a cooler and should be okay to work on your deer skull the next day. And I am telling you that using a fillet knife, I really like working with them, with these deer skulls. A tear duct sometimes can be a pain to get around, but once you do, it's not so difficult. I'm also wearing gloves. You can do this without gloves. You can put 2 pair of gloves on. It really doesn't matter. These gloves will eventually get a hole in it, and it's just to help keep your hands clean a little bit. Yeah, this is another tedious process, and it's a little gross, but to save yourself some money if you don't want to mount a big old deer, or let's say you do, you can generally get a European mount done for a lot cheaper. And we won't be keeping the bottom jaw, so we're going to end up cutting all that out. The ticket is to get all this skin off, all the fur off from around. There's his ear, so that just came off pretty easy. But yeah, the ticket is to get all this hair off and get it away from the antlers, and then go to town for getting any extra meat. Another thing that I also normally use are some forceps. That'll help you grab hold of like this and pull it back so you can get that blade up under there. But all that fat and skin, you need to get it all out, all of it, or hair, I guess, fur. And for the back of this, you can cut that ear completely off. But you get the gist. The other thing is if you left the vertebrae on the back here, you got to get that off. So we'll cut down into that in a minute and we'll get that off. First thing we're going to do is get all this fur off the skull, which you can see. But if you kill a small deer and you want to European mount it, you do this. Then you get a big old turkey pot, put it on a turkey boiler or a cooker, turkey cooker, and get it to boiling. And really, you're not going to do a full rolling boil. I guess it depends on who you talk to. I try not to get it to roll. I do like a light boil or a simmer. And yeah. So I'm trying to pretty much show y'all the entire process. Again, you want to try to get all that off of there, all that small stuff off of there. Let's go ahead and cut this ear out. That way we can have a little more room to work back there. And you see that fillet knife now. Fillet knife does some damage. Am I telling you that you can't use your buck knife? Nope. Or your razor knives? Nope. I just really like that thin blade. Also, a lot of the meat that I process and deal with, I'll use a fillet knife as well. That fillet knife does some work. And then this little bad boy, I think it's called like the Vital, the Gerber Vital. But in like some spots like this, it's really hard to get in there. So you can take this fillet knife and you can kind of go around the back of those antlers and get in that little skinny tight spot there. There it went. That should have been the last piece. Pull that over the back. Another thing about this fillet knife that I'm going to show you here in just a few minutes, once I finish getting the rest of these antlers trimmed up, I'm going to try to get all that hair out from underneath there. But I'm going to go get my forceps and I'm going to show you something with these eyeballs. Some people will boil the deer with the eyeballs in it. I try to take them out because, again, it just makes it easier to clean it. So I'm going to get some forceps and use this and this to get those eyeballs out. Yeah, it's a disturbing process, but you got to do it. The eyeballs got to go out. They got to come out. So I'm going to go ahead and shut this off for right this second. I'm going to go get my forceps, and I have two different pair because some of that's used for the nasal cavity as well to get that stuff out. And then we're going to try and clean up all this, any of this extra meat that you got on here. You're going to want to try to get it all off. As much of it as you can. That's jaw meat. Try not to cut into your bone. But that's good. What's good about this fillet knife, it allows you it contours with some of the bone structure. They are really sharp. And yours, you could probably have better ones than what I got here. Mine's a cheap fillet knife. But let me go get my forceps, and then we'll work on it. This is some more jaw meat that's connected to the top of the head, that connects the jawbone, the lower jawbone in there. Bunch of fat. Let me go ahead and pause the video here and see if I can't get, because it helps pull some of this stuff out too. It's not the knife I wanted. And that right there is the top of the jaw, the lower jawbone. And this fillet knife will help you get in behind there and come all the way through to help disconnect it whenever you go to boil it out, so you can separate that lower jaw. You don't want that jaw connected when you're boiling, so we're going to cut the tongue out and all of that stuff. But you can see all this stuff. You want to get it all off. So let me go ahead and pause here. Be right back.